It comes and goes. We're out here chasing a feeling. Up high, down low. We go from the floor to the ceiling. We fly, we fall. We get back up and try again. Some do, some don't. Some will, some won't. I wanna feel just a little, just a little, just a little. Put my heart in the middle, in the middle, in the middle. Wanna live just a little, just a little, just a little. Wanna feel just a little, just a little, little bit more, little bit more. Big heart, big plans, big dreams, and we ain't even sleeping. Who can? We can. We dive right into the deep end. You win, you lose. You get back up and try again. Some do, some don't. Some will, some won't. I wanna feel just a little, just a little, just a little. Put my heart in the middle, in the middle, in the middle. Wanna live just a little, just a little, just a little. Wanna feel just a little, just a little.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and happy National Nutrition Month. Thank you for joining us today for the second session in the Check It Community Conversation Series. I am Taylor Scanlon. I am the Foundation and Marketing Executive Director at Carthage Area Hospital in Carthage, New York, and I'm happy to be here with you all today. Last month, the American Heart Association kicked off the Check It Challenge to raise awareness of and get people checking their blood pressure. The 4-month-long program empowers individuals to self-monitor their blood pressure and encourages healthy lifestyle choices. The Check It Challenge would not be possible without the generous support of the sponsors that you can see on your screen. It's still not too late to join and begin taking control of your blood pressure. You can sign up at heart.org/Check It Challenge. That's heart.org/Check It Challenge. Today, you're going to hear from our 3 amazing panelists: Carly Draper from Carthage Area Hospital, Aaron Dunleavy from Wise Markets, and Deanna Galicchio from the Greater Buffalo United Accountable Healthcare Network. Say that 5 times fast. About how to eat smart for our hearts. But we want this to be a conversation, so we are looking forward to hearing from you all as well. To start, we'd love for you to introduce yourselves in the chat box below. If you don't see it, just move your mouse and you'll see on the bottom of your screen, it says chat. Please add your name and our company or where you're joining us from if you haven't done so already. And while everybody is doing that, we're going to play a quick video for you. Thank you.
Blood pressure. Blood pressure is created when the heart pumps blood through the blood vessels, and the blood pushes against the walls of the blood vessels. Blood pressure helps move blood through the body, so each part can get oxygen. Healthy arteries, the blood vessels that carry oxygen-rich blood from the heart to the rest of the body, stretch to allow more blood to push through them. How much they stretch depends on how hard the blood pushes against the artery walls. It's important for blood pressure to be within a healthy range to help the arteries stay healthy. Blood pressure can be found using a blood pressure monitor and is recorded as 2 numbers. The systolic pressure, the upper number, is how much pressure is exerting on the artery walls while the heart is pumping blood. The diastolic pressure, lower number, is how much pressure blood is exerting against the artery walls while the heart is resting between beats. High blood pressure usually doesn't have a cause, and many people don't have symptoms. Sometimes it is even called the silent killer for this reason. There are some risk factors in developing high blood pressure that can't be controlled, like family history, age, gender, and race. Whereas there are some that can be controlled, like lack of physical activity and an unhealthy diet. High blood pressure, if not treated, can cause the heart to get bigger because it must work harder to supply the blood the body needs. It can also lead to many serious heart and health conditions. Blood pressure can be controlled by limiting sodium intake and eating healthy foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, low-fat protein sources, and low-fat dairy products. Finally, always remember to talk with your own medical provider to discuss the best plan of action for your health.
All right. So now that you know how to use the chat box, throughout the presentations today, please place your questions and comments in the chat box. We will ask your questions during the Q&A with our speakers after they have all shared. Just so everyone knows, we are recording the session today. It will be available on the American Heart Association's Check It Challenge Facebook event page and the YouTube channel. And if you want to share any of the great information you are learning today, please use the handle you see on the screen. It's at AHA New York, #CheckIt. Now, to get us started today, I'd like to introduce my colleague and friend, Carly Draper. Carly Draper is a registered dietitian, certified dietitian, nutritionist, and certified diabetes care and education specialist who joined Carthage Area Hospital's clinical nutrition team in 2009. She graduated from the University of Vermont with a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics and Food Science. She completed an internship at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. Through her studies and having lived in both urban and rural communities, she has developed a passion for nutrition, education, and improving the health and wellness of all patients. She lives in Watertown with her husband, Andrew, and 2 daughters. Carly, thank you so much for joining us today. So we just watched that video about blood pressure and how food can play a role. And it mentions reducing sodium intake and eating healthy foods. Can you walk us through the most recent nutrition guidelines?
Absolutely. Thank you for the introduction. It's perfect timing being in March, being Nutrition Month. We really want to encourage our families, our friends, everyone that we can to eat healthfully. And so that video really kind of gave a good synopsis as it relates to nutrition. It had a couple of images about some food and things. And so I wanted to share with you some of the new guidelines that came out at the end of December in 2020 for the dietary guidelines that are presented every 5 years. So I'm going to share my screen here. And bear with me. It doesn't seem to want to work perfectly. So as you can kind of see, there are a couple of images that give you a visual of what we're focusing in on. Bright colors, lots of fruits and vegetables. But every 5 years, the US government really encourages Americans to embody and bring in healthy foods through various ways. We focus on encouraging more fruits and vegetables. We see different images out there. It used to be the My Pyramid, and now we have the My Plate. But the new guidelines that are out that came through really encourage these 4 things: to follow a healthy dietary pattern at every life stage. What this means is that we really want to encourage healthy eating from birth all the way through to our elder years. And it's really important to kind of focus in on incorporating that and introducing that in all different ways. Customizing and enjoying nutrient-dense food and beverages to reflect personal preferences, cultural traditions, and of course, we need to think about budgetary considerations. And I highlighted nutrient-dense food because I want to talk a little bit more about that and why it's so important. We also want to focus on meeting food group needs with, again, that nutrient-dense definition, or nutrient-dense foods and beverages, and stay within our calorie limits. We all are individual, and so we have different amounts of needs and fuel needs from all different foods. And so the guide is really suggesting to Americans and across the world, really focus in and try to get those from nutrient-dense foods. And then, of course, to limit foods and beverages higher in added sugar, saturated fat, sodium, and to, of course, limit alcoholic beverages. These are all some really important guidelines that we're focusing in on in this 5-year time span, because we know that when we look at these areas of health, by doing these things, it can really improve longevity and your life overall with quality. So talking about nutrient-dense foods, I think it's really important to highlight these because it's not always well known what foods are healthy. We hear eat healthy, do this, do that, but what exactly does that mean? And I think it's important, especially in this conversation, to know what some of those are. So top and first, you see vegetables. We always encourage, eating a lot of vegetables and fruits, focusing in on the colorful vegetables, less of the starchy vegetables, of course, like your potato, corn, and peas, but really bringing in those vegetables and fruits because of the antioxidant rich factors that are there and just the overall health quality. Of course, grains are important to have on a regular basis. We want to encourage having more whole grains, your brown rice, your wheat breads, things like that as a nutrient dense item in our meal plan. For dairy, this is to include milk and yogurt, but also other non-dairy options like your soy beverages, almond milk, and other alternatives. It's not just dairy as a focus. Your protein foods to include those lean meats and poultry, eggs, seafood, your protein sources. And of course, the plant-based proteins are important to incorporate as well. Those are really, really good for you, and they are going to overall improve the health quality and the nutrient density of the foods on your plate. And then, of course, our oils or our fats, as some people kind of know them. We really want to focus on more of the plant-based oils as much as we can, and staying away from some of that saturated fat that we hear about in, meats and red meats and things like that. So some of you have probably seen this image. I think this image is really speaks for itself. And while we have these new guidelines, we do still incorporate this image as a useful resource and tool to teach to those healthy qualities of food. The idea obviously is bright colors, a variety of foods. And as you kind of look at this image, you can see that the goal for fruits and vegetables is really half of the plate being comprised of that. And then of course, the other half divided amongst other types of foods. And we just really want to focus on a variety. And that's really the goal of the dietary guidelines. It's to give us a guide, no pun intended, of the foods that would be healthier in nature for us to incorporate most often. There are some key recommendations around the dietary guidelines that it's important to kind of talk about as well as it relates to just nutrition and health. But we really want to limit some of the added sugars in our food, limiting saturated fats to less than 10% of the daily intake or the calories that we have each day. Limiting sodium, we did hear about that in the blood pressure video, talking about salt a little bit. So we want to have less than 2,300 milligrams per day. And then, of course, again, limiting the alcoholic beverage. That's really important and one of the focuses for this 5-year span of the dietary guidelines.
Well, thank you, Carly. So it seems like the dietary guidelines are always changing. What does a healthy diet plan look like? What is that, just sticking to, fresh fruits and vegetables? That's, can you expand on that?
Sure. Well, a healthy diet plan or meal plan doesn't have to be anything specific. The whole goal is to incorporate a variety of foods based on your culture, based on your preferences, but really working to incorporate some of those healthier items like the nutrient dense foods. There isn't a perfect fit for everyone. And so it's important that we kind of think about that when we talk about making a healthy plan and taking it step by step.
Excellent. What is this new 5 a day that is, being talked about right now?
So 5 a day is one of those concepts, we've kind of heard it in the news or in the media. And what it's focusing on is that 5 a day is fruits and vegetables. We want to bring more fruits and vegetables into our daily intake. only about 1 in 10 people are meeting the goals or the recommendations for fruit and vegetable intake. And so by encouraging that 5 a day, it's 2 fruit, 3 vegetable a day, really bringing in some of those antioxidant rich foods can improve the longevity of life and the quality of life because of all of those antioxidants in those foods that help to protect our hearts and protect a lot of our health.
What about the DASH diet, where does the DASH diet really fit into all of this, and how does reducing sodium help manage hypertension?
So the DASH diet actually fits perfectly in with the guidelines, the new guidelines, because it focuses in on working to reduce your sodium intake, right, to that 2,300 milligrams a day. There actually is a lower count for some who need it when they have different reasons for following the DASH diet. There is a 1,500 milligram sodium DASH diet. But the idea is that we want to, again, incorporate those fruits and vegetables, whole grains, fibers, and the DASH diet is all about incorporating those healthier foods. So they really coalesce together and meet those needs a little bit better. And so by reducing your sodium intake as it relates to blood pressure, it helps to reduce how much fluid volume is in your vessels. So when you have a lot of salt, it holds on to more water. And as we saw in that video, when there's additional pressure or volume, it puts more strain on the heart. And that can lead to other conditions and issues with the heart. And we don't want that. So by reducing your sodium intake, that's really going to help to reduce some of that extra fluid in your body and extra stress on the organs.
Makes sense. And then, of course, we're going to end on a fun question. But what about what's your favorite go-to, healthy snack on the go, if you will?
Ooh, I love all food. That's why I'm in this job. In truth, I guess healthy snacks on the go. I really enjoy carrots and hummus. I'm more of your vegetable kind of person, or, if you like apples or fruits, pairing them with a healthy fat and protein like peanut butter or almond butter is a really good way to go. If it's a meal, that's a little trickier if you're on the go, but things that are easy to handle. So sometimes a healthy wrap might be an option with lots of vegetables in there. Anything that's kind of got a lot more color is up my alley. But like I said, I like all foods, so there's no limit there. Just kind of going with the carrots.
See, nutritionists do eat. That's why they're in this job. So, Carly, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for demystifying those guidelines for us. So please make sure that you put your questions in the chat box for Carly, if you have any, as we move on to our next guest, Erin Dunleavy. All right. Welcome, Erin. Erin is a registered dietitian at Wise Markets. She offers a variety of virtual nutrition programs and services, including nutrition presentations, custom group cooking classes, kids and adult cooking classes, nutrition education store tours, and one-on-one nutrition counseling. In addition to virtual offerings, Erin and the team of Wise Dietitians frequently appear in the recipe videos on the Wise Market social media accounts. Erin, so happy to have you with us today. Hi, welcome. We just heard from Carly about the nutrition guidelines, and I'm so interested to hear from you about how we can take that into our daily lives when we walk into an actual grocery store.
That's right. So I am going to quickly share my screen here. Okay, so Carly did a really great job of explaining the current dietary guidelines. So my job is to hopefully explain how can we put that into practice when we are at the grocery store, when we're planning our meals, when we're shopping. So first and foremost, it's really about using the tools in the grocery store to kind of guide you to make the most helpful choices, especially for yourself, your family, and with your health condition in mind. So I did want to point out here, the nutrition facts label is a perfect place to start. And the past couple years, the nutrition facts label has gone through a revision. So you can see here on the left, that's what the original label looked like, what a lot of us were used to. And then a couple years ago, the FDA released a law that all nutrition facts panels have to be updated to the label on the right. So you can kind of see the comparison side by side. So all labels should at this point look like the label on the right. So I just wanted to quickly mention about a couple different things to kind of be mindful of and check out on the label when you're shopping, and especially in this case with heart health in mind. So first and foremost, you want to be mindful of the serving size. I think that's the most important place to start when you're choosing a food. So, and really the numbers on the label, that is what everything is based off of this serving size. So in this particular label, the 2/3 cup, all of these numbers are based off of that. So of course, if you eat more than the serving size or less than that, the numbers would adjust accordingly. So check out the serving size. You also have your calories listed there. And then you move down the label, you have your total fat. So Carly had mentioned that it's recommended, especially for heart health, to reduce your intake of saturated fats as well as trans fats. So these are going to be the two nutrients that we want to limit. These are always going to be listed on the nutrition facts label. Sometimes unsaturated fats would also be listed based on the space of the package. And the unsaturated fats, these are going to be your heart healthy, heart smart type of fats that you want to be increasing. So increase the unsaturated fats and decrease the saturated and trans fats. So you can kind of use that as a guide. And I will quickly point out the percent daily value. Sometimes people get a little bit confused at exactly what that is. So I just wanted to take a couple seconds to explain that as well. So basically it's based off of the average American, a 2,000 calorie diet. So just know that it's a general guideline. 5% is going to be a low source and 20% is going to be a high source. So that can go either way. So for the saturated fat, you see that 5% daily value is listed. So this would be considered a low saturated fat item. So we're moving down the label here. So sodium is another big one, of course, in relation to heart health. And when we're choosing different foods, especially packaged foods, a lot of times they tend to be packed with sodium. So sodium really helps foods kind of maintain their shelf life and preserve the shelf life longer. And a way to know if food is a lower sodium option or considered low sodium is typically 300 milligrams or less is going to be considered low sodium. 140 milligrams or less will be a very low sodium item. So you can kind of use that as a general guideline. And of course, choose the no salt added, reduced sodium varieties of the canned and packaged foods when possible. And then one more thing I just wanted to highlight on the label is fiber. So fiber is actually another nutrient that many Americans do not consume enough of. And it's found in a lot of plant-based type of foods. So your whole grains. So that's really the reason why we suggest to consume more whole grains versus the white or refined grains, because they have more fiber. So fiber is really going to help slow down digestion. It's not only good for heart health, but also digestive health as well. And fiber is also found not only in whole grains, but beans, nuts, seeds, fresh fruits and vegetables, oats. So these type of foods not only are heart healthy, but also are really good to just be including in an overall healthy diet. So I just wanted to mention this, first and foremost, use the tools that are in the grocery store, and just knowing what to look for on the label could be a really good start.
Great. Thank you so much, Erin. I like that new nutrition label. It's actually helped me. I know that. So expanding a little bit more on reading a nutrition label. So if you're looking to make a quick decision, what are the main things you want to be looking for, to make sure that you're making, choosing a healthier option?
Right. So going off of that as well, I would, again, look at the serving size, and that's really what you want to be kind of basing everything off of. But then, especially if it's packaged and it's a more of a processed item, you want to be checking out the sodium. Also the fat, use the percent daily values. It's kind of to your advantage. And, if you're someone who maybe just got diagnosed with high blood pressure and you really need to monitor your sodium and also your saturated fat, take a look at that as well. I also really love on the new label that they include how much added sugar is in the products. So there's natural sugars and added sugars. And sometimes people get a little bit confused at the difference between them. Sometimes people don't even realize that there's a difference, because in the original label, you can see that it just said sugars 12 grams, that was it. Whereas on this new label, the revised label actually has how many added sugars are added to it. And added sugars is exactly how it sounds. It's sugar that is not naturally found in the food, and it's added to the food. It doesn't really provide much nutrition benefit. So foods that have natural sugars are your fruits, some vegetables, also dairy products. These bring a lot of nutrition value. So though they do have sugar, they're naturally occurring in that food, they also bring that nutrition value to the table, whereas food products that have mostly added sugar don't really bring much nutrition value to us. So I would definitely focus on the added sugars. And again, fiber and protein are also two key nutrients that help keep us feeling fuller for longer. So that can come into play as well.
What about some tips and tricks for being better shoppers in the grocery store? Do you have any that you can share with us?
Absolutely. So a lot of times people think that meal planning is overwhelming. It's a daunting task. Many people don't look forward to it. Some people do, but if you kind of fall into that category where sometimes you just don't even know where to start, I just jotted down this quick list here just for some general meal planning and shopping tips. So first and foremost, you want to make sure you have a list. I know when I'm shopping without a list, I feel completely lost. I go from one part of the store to the other. I realize, oh, I forgot this and that. So it's a lot more organized, a lot more time effective as well. So making a list, I know we've heard that a lot before, but there's a lot of truth to it that it can definitely help save time as well as money. And also simply taking inventory of what you already have at home. This happens to a lot of people that I talk to. They realize like, oh, in the back of my pantry, I had the ingredients that I needed. I didn't even necessarily need to get this from the store. So just something that, I mean, might seem like common sense to some, it can really be helpful. Just take inventory of what you already have at home, just to know what you do truly need when you are shopping. Also shop based on the sales, stock up when there's a certain sale, especially on pantry staples like your whole grain pastas or your canned beans or canned or pouch tuna. These are items that are shelf stable. They're great to have in the pantry. They're great to have on hand just when you need something in a pinch, as well as freezer as well. So frozen vegetables are really great too. They're an easy and convenient option. So really stock up on those items. And the last year, I mean, of course, we've been home more, we've been cooking more meals at home. And what I've been hearing from a lot of people is that they're just in a rut. And there's a name for this now, cooking fatigue, that they're just kind of, they need some more inspiration. They're getting tired of cooking all the time. So they just need some fresh ideas. Just a couple things you can do here is even to get the whole family involved in the meal planning process. It can definitely be helpful in that sense. Ask what they're in the mood for, even, depending on the ages, have them help you shop, help you put together that shopping list. Have some fun with it and have a meal theme night. So whether that's like a meatless Monday or Taco Tuesday, Italian night Wednesday, this at least narrows down the type of cuisine you're going to have, and then you can kind of plan the meal from there. And then, of course, cooking once, eat twice or more often. This can also help, if you really are in that kind of cooking rut, you can just make large batches at once and have leftovers or freeze the rest for later.
Excellent information. I know that I have been guilty. And if I have a list, I'm less likely to stock up on stuff I don't need, right? So stick to the list. Erin, thank you so much. A reminder to our audience to add your questions to the chat box for anything that Erin discussed. We'd really appreciate that. And next, I'd like to welcome Deanna Galicchio. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Deanna is the Director of Wellness, registered dietitian, and yoga instructor at the Greater Buffalo United Accountable Healthcare Network, or GBON. as the Director of Wellness at G-Bond. Deanna's mission is to help prevent and treat chronic diseases by developing, managing, and monitoring various health and wellness programs using scientific, evidence-based research. And in doing so, Deanna hopes to improve mental, physical, and spiritual health for all members. Deanna, you're working directly with patients at the Wellness Center at G-Bond, and you've also taught some of the American Heart Association's Healthy for Life lessons. Where do you see the role of food as medicine?
So right off the bat, before I go ahead and share my screen, it's very, very important that we don't just rely on medicine to improve our lifestyle, improve our overall health. It is so important to not only do the physical aspect, whether it's physical activity, the diet aspect, what we put in our mouths, but it's also really important for good mental health. So having a whole balance, an array of different components really makes us tick the best way. So with that said, it's important to really give our members or just the community the skills, the resources that they need that may not be readily available for them so that they can make these healthy choices and give them the confidence and the self-efficacy that they need. So with that said, let me share my screen. Okay, you can see all good?
All good.
All right, perfect. So just wanted to show you all, this is the wellness center that I do manage. And before I go into the dietary components of achieving good heart health, I would like to share the importance of my role as a registered dietitian and the director of the wellness department. It is our duty to gain insight of our population's background, our ethnicity, social determinants of health, because that plays a huge role of their self-efficacy and their confidence and their skills. So here you'll see we did the Healthy for Life classes. We have Lisa here from the American Heart Association. We are doing food demos, anything we can do to try and reach out to our community who may not be the most tech savvy right now. So it is really important to really get everybody together so that they don't feel alone, especially all of our members here have chronic conditions. And with that said, I'd love to share this with everybody. Any patients have Medicaid, Medicare, please reach out to G-Bond, set them up. They get free cooking classes by me, nutrition consultations, and we have a head chef as well, and we have personal trainers, and we work as a whole interdisciplinary team to really give the skills and the support that they need. So just give you a little background of what I'm doing in the community. So just going more into what registered dietitians do. So we really provide medical nutrition therapy. So we take every single individual as a case-by-case basis because not everybody is the same. Everybody is different. Whether their behaviors, their background, what they're doing day to day can impact their dietary habits. So we look at their lab values, we work with their doctors, we collaborate, and we see the best approach for them. So I'd like to sum up a little bit about what Carly and Erin had mentioned. So all in all, to achieve a heart healthy diet, even a DASH diet, all those terms, it means the same thing. They all are in line with the same recommendations. Low in saturated fat, trans fat, which has an impact on cholesterol levels in the blood, and choosing low sodium options, which I'll go into in a little bit. But as long as you follow that My Plate that Carly was talking about in the beginning. If you are confused or you don't know where to start, I always say start with the plate. And I go through the checklist. Do you have a fruit or a vegetable? Do you have a source of protein? And are you using healthy fats? And what else? And a serving of a starch of choice. Making sure that you're having a balanced array of food groups because they all contain different vitamins and minerals, antioxidants that can help promote optimal health. So moving forward, now not only do these have these vitamins and minerals, but these whole grains, these fruits and vegetables are so high in the magnesium, potassium, and calcium that affects our blood vessels, which coincides with your blood pressure. So that's why it's also really important to incorporate that in and help your hypertension. So most of our sodium in our typical diet comes from processed foods. There are natural salt in your food items, of course, but foods are healthier choices. But we'll get into that in a little bit. And like Erin said, look at your nutrition facts. So take a look at your ingredients. Not every ingredient is going to be the same. So check out your different brands. For instance, there's a bunch of chicken broths. One will say low sodium, one doesn't say low sodium, and it's a completely different brand. And that brand actually was lower in sodium than the low sodium option. So it's super duper important to just take a look at the sodium in the back of the label. And I always tell my patients, good rule of thumb is less than 140 milligrams per serving. Sometimes not all your packaged items are going to be that low. So I always say a good start, baby steps, get one, compare different products and choose the one that's at least lower in sodium that maybe you usually purchase. Maybe instead of the pretzels you get something else that may be lower in sodium. With that said, I have a lot of individuals in our cooking class who love adobo, sazon, which are loaded with MSG, which is another form of salt. And what we do is we say, look at the ingredients that you like. The herbs and spices that you like that are maybe in your spices on the back of the label, and just take a look. So this is lemon pepper. I just wanted to show you. Just because it says lemon pepper doesn't mean it doesn't have salt in it. So it does right there. So, and a lot of people don't know that. So it's always good to look at the ingredients label and then make your own. So we make our own sazon, we make our own adobo without the added salt. And that makes everybody happy, because we're really making sure everything's diverse and ethnically appropriate. So then we're going to choose fresh and frozen. So, a lot of my patients are the underserved population on SNAP, and it can be very difficult getting fresh or frozen. And sometimes they have to use canned, in which I say, use what you have and rinse it out under the sink. Another thing that you can do is obviously choosing the frozen vegetables. They're cheaper, and you can also look in the see for any coupons, and know what fruits and vegetables are in season at the time, because they're going to be cheaper, because they're going to be more abundant. And also choose low salt, no salt added, low sodium, doing as best you can with your canned items, but your fresh and frozen are your good to go. And then we get the herbs and spices, as I was saying. So it doesn't take much salt to get our daily allowance of sodium. So a quarter of a teaspoon of salt contains around 600 milligrams of sodium, while a half of a teaspoon of salt contains 1,200 milligrams of sodium. And that's almost leading up to the 1,500 milligram line. So instead of bringing the salt shaker out to the table, adding your salt to your food without tasting it first, try adding some dried or fresh herbs and spices that provide flavor without the sodium. So there are many community cooking classes, virtual, in person, as I was saying, that are available to you, that you can even find on the internet, and see how to make your vegetables taste good, because I'll always get a taste planned. So you could try curry powder, garlic, rosemary, sage, thyme, even your poultry seasoning for your meats, and then your cinnamon, your cloves, your dill, ginger, nutmeg, rosemary for cooking vegetables. And it's all about your taste buds, whatever you like, but it's good to get out of your comfort zone and just try. And that goes with limiting your processed and packaged food items. So here's some food items that account for more than 40% of your daily sodium intake. So that could be our bread and rolls, our cold cuts at the deli counter. We have our pizzas, our soup, and chicken. Now, when it comes to natural salt, there's going to be natural salt in a bunch of meats, so we always want to limit the red meats. However, when it comes to your cured meats, they're adding a bunch of salt in there to keep it fresher longer. With the chicken, it's most cases that when you're getting it out, they're adding a lot of different salts in your commercial kitchens, or they're frying it. So just being mindful of that to bake or saute your chicken breasts with salt-free herbs, as we were talking about. Same thing with your soup. Maybe make your own homemade chicken stock. In our cooking class that we have done, we made our own chicken stock, because it's very common to see your chicken broths to be really high in sodium, but there are some that's around 130 milligrams. You got to take a look. So then we have, like I said, with our packaged items, trying to choose veggies as much as you can, just like Carly said, with the carrot sticks and hummus. That's always a go-to for me as well. But just taking a look at the label. Ooh, we're going crazy over here. And condiments and dressings. So your ketchups, your barbecue sauces has added sugar, has salt, even your hot sauce. It may be, not high in calories, but it's giving you that sodium. And that's the same thing with your Powerade Zeros, your 0-calorie drinks. Be mindful of that sodium that could creep into your daily intake. So here are some tips that can help you on a daily basis, making better choices. And maybe instead of, going to the deli counter some of the days, grill up some chicken the night before and make a nice sandwich. That's what I always tell my patients. And without further ado, getting some exercise in. So the recommendation's about 150 minutes per week, or 2 hours and 30 minutes. And research shows that losing weight will also help with your blood pressure and your lipid panel, you name it. And like I said, I don't have it in the slide, but mental health is hugely important, because if your life is going a little crazy and you're in 1-2 places at once, it could be really hard to achieve your goals of just taking care of yourself. So if you can't take care of yourself in your lifestyle mentally, it could be really, really difficult for you to achieve your other goals that you may not be ready for. So taking baby steps, being good to yourself, and knowing that some things are just out of your control in life and you can only do the best that you can. And with that said, I'm done, Taylor.
All right. Dina, thank you so much. Really great information. I know that we're crunching on time, so I'll give you one quick, short answer question, then we'll go into our Q&A.
Definitely.
What is the importance of engaging a nutritionist in your clinical care?
Well, the most important thing, so as registered dietitians, we really lower the burden of doctors trying to explain all of this, because there's only so much time a doctor can explain this. And the thing is doctors have only, I think, a few hours of nutrition training. So give us the opportunity. We'll give them everything that they need, all the tools, all the resources, and then we could collaborate with their doctor and give them the best care. So we just work as a team, and medical nutrition therapy will really individualize the approach depending on the person.
Absolutely, great answer. And it's a medical team, and it's all there's so many people that are a part of that and making
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate it. All right. Well, now I'm going to ask all of our panelists to come back on the screen together, and we'll take some questions that we received in the chat box from our audience.
Our first question is, would you be more cautious of calories or having more color on your plate?
Let's start with Carly.
That's a really good question. So I would actually kind of opt for more color. I think that that's really important when we talk about, creating a dietary pattern and including these nutrient dense foods. We know that kind of that eating from the rainbow kind of sense, which you have in my background here, is what we really encourage. And by doing that, you're already going to be incorporating those healthier calories, those quality calories. And that's kind of where I'd guide that kind of question or that answer.
Excellent. Deanna, anything to add?
Yeah, so with going with the color, every color basically has different set of antioxidants. So whether it's going to be anti-inflammatory, so it's going to help your heart regardless. And we want to get those anti-inflammatory components. So it's so much better to have quality rather than worrying about the calories, because you can focus on the calories all you want, but you can have high cholesterol and hypertension and maybe choose the wrong foods and maybe still in your calorie recommendation, but that's not always the best approach.
Excellent. And Deanna, a quick reminder, we're gonna, if you can stop sharing your screen, and we'll make sure that all of us are popping up. That's okay, that's all right. Perfect, no, you're good.
Sorry.
No, you're great. Erin, anything to add to that before we move on to the next question?
I would just say one quick example that came to mind too is when people get so caught up with calories, like you have to think of and I'm not picking on this product, but the 100 calorie pack of Oreos, customers or people might think, oh, it's just 100 calories versus something out, maybe like a handful. I know we're getting away from the produce talk now, but like a handful of nuts that might be 200 calories. A lot of times they want to shy away from those nuts that have they're so much more nutrient dense and they go towards the 100 calorie pack just because it's less calories, but you really have to think about the nutrient quality of the product too. So that's what I'll say about that.
When I joke with people, especially like, you see like 100 calorie packs of cookies, like little versus, a thing of nuts. I'm like, unfortunately, I'm in marketing. Those darn marketing people, you got to watch out for them. Always read your labels. So
They're
thank
tricky.
you, ladies.
That's right.
They are. Thank you, ladies. Okay, next question, Kristen.
Our next question is, would you say that cooking at high heat, unrefined avocado oil is healthier than vegetable, olive oil, and grapeseed oil?
Erin, would you like to take that?
Sure. So oil's tough with the smoke point. So avocado oil does have a very high smoke point. So it actually is a good oil if you like to saute and cook with a high heat. It also has the mono unsaturated fats, so the good quality fats. I believe it was vegetable and olive oil and grapeseed oil were the other three was comparing to. So they do not have as high of a smoke point as avocado oil. So it really just depends what you're using it for. But as far as nutrition quality, typically, I mean, we always hear of extra virgin olive oil. That's like the gold standard. And that's just because it has more of the unsaturated fats in them. So it also just depends. Even with any oil, it's going to be a fat source. So you do want to watch how much you're using.
A big fan of EVOO. We know that, right? So that's what everyone calls it. So, Deanna, anything to add?
I just feel like nutrition's not black or white. I've had many conversations with people. Canola oil's bad, avocado oil's good. Honestly, there's so much different talk on that. And I'm going to stick to my polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats. That goes with your olive oil, even your canola oil and vegetable oil, even though you'll see a bunch of different things out there saying we're wrong, but that's what you're going to get all the time as being a registered dietitian and, media and nutritionists. And it's always a big hype right now, just like what you see in the news. So, but I definitely go for your extra virgin olive oil or just regular olive oil, whatever you can afford to. Canola oil, vegetable oil, grapeseed oil, go for it.
Perfect. Carly, anything else?
Well, they tied it up pretty nicely in a nice little package, but really, I mean, you have to take in consideration, much like those guidelines, right? Your budgetary constraints. A lot of those newer products that are certainly healthy in nature and really good for you, they may not always be affordable. When you're trying to incorporate all of this extra healthier produce or fresh, sometimes you have to work with what you have. And so there are a lot of health qualities to some of the other oils that can be used as well. And so while yes, there are good and there's good to all of them, kind of factor that in. What can you work with and how much? That's really a big part. How much do you use?
Perfect. Thank you, ladies.
Our next question from the chat box is about fiber. How many grams of fiber per day is recommended?
I'll send it over to you, Deanna.
Okay, so our general rule of thumb is 25 grams for women and around 38 grams for men, ultimately. You take what you want with that, but as long as you get your fruits and vegetables a day, your whole grains, you should be good to go. So I wouldn't be too nitpick with it unless you have chronic conditions and you're seeing a dietitian, you're working towards a certain goal.
Great. Erin, anything to add?
Those are the recommendations.
Perfect. That's it. All right. All right. We'll stick with it. Very good. Christy, anything else?
We have another recommendation question about potassium. How much potassium do you need if you have hypertension?
Carly.
Okay, so that's, a tougher question to kind of put in a recommendation for. Everyone is a little bit different as to what level of high blood pressure someone might have. We have different ranges. We have elevated, we have high, we have severely high, and they're all a little bit different. And so while potassium is certainly a concern for various conditions like renal issues, so if you have chronic kidney disease, or you have some other cardiac conditions, it's really much more specific to the individual. And so unless one of you have an exact recommendation around that, I truly don't have that specific answer because it is so individualized. It's more, or it can be related to the types of medication you may be taking, that can play a role there. But ideally, if you're looking to kind of watch your potassium because your doctor has mentioned, hey, I'm a little concerned, kind of watch out for things like potatoes, tomatoes, citrus fruits, and things, because those are your higher potassium containing foods. But potassium is important to have in your diet. It's just those recommendations are very specific to the individual.
Great answer. Deanna, Erin, anything to add or?
Yeah, I agree with Carly. It's very individual, and that's why we have registered dietitians, because every body is different, and it's just like chronic kidney disease. You may have to change your phosphorus, sodium, potassium. It's a whole other ball game. But for the healthy individual, an adequate intake is 2,600 milligrams. But it's really tough to just track everything. It's not necessary. As long as we follow that guide, we're getting those whole grains, like I said earlier, fruits, veggies, then you should be good to go with every single meal and choosing nutrient dense foods.
Excellent. Christy.
Our next question from chat is about patient adherence. What do you do differently to improve patient adherence? For example, if a patient receives nutrition counseling, but then doesn't quite follow up.
All right, Deanna, I see your head shaking.
Literally, this has been happening in the past few days, actually. So, my population, like I said, has so many things going on right now. So they're trying to get housing, maybe they're having a situation at home, or, somebody's in the hospital. They have a lot going on. So I know that contributes to their level of readiness for themselves. However, it's just, even if for me, everybody's different. I just try and give support as best I can to try and make them a little bit more ready from the pre-contemplation to contemplation stage to preparation, to try and give them the best approach for them. Sometimes I try different things. Sometimes they don't come back and I give them a call. Trust me, I'll call them and I'll be like, what's going on? Where'd you go? But sometimes they need that little extra push. But it's definitely a difficult one. I've tried different approaches, sometimes taking a little bit smaller. Or sometimes I do like a goal patient setting, motivational interviewing, which is the most of my consultations, just seeing what they're willing to do, because I can only give all the education as much as I can to them. And it's up to them to really, put a pep to their step and make some changes, so we can hold their hand for a little bit, but they got to put some work in. So it's up to them to really try and be ready and give them the support in the ways that they need. I hope that makes a little bit sense to you.
Oops, there we go. Thank you, Deanna. Carly or Erin, anything additional to add?
Sure. Patient adherence or compliance, I hate both of those terms because there are so many life factors to why we make decisions and choices. It's not black and white, as you kind of said, Deanna. There's too many other factors. And so when we're talking about encouragement and empowerment for our clients and our patients, it's really about listening to them. What is it that they want out of the session, and what is it that they're looking for? Because if you just get that one thing, that usually can help to bring people back to the table. Say, okay, wow, they didn't just tell me what to do. They asked me, what do I want to do? And so making it a much more patient-centered or individual-centered kind of approach, I think, is very helpful, because there's just not that compliance type term. It's a combination of things in what we're dealing with.
Certainly. Thank you. I think we have time for one more question, Christy, before we wrap up.
The next question is there a difference between organic food versus non-organic?
Erin, I think I'm going to throw that right over to you.
I get that question a lot. And the short answer is that in the big picture, not much. I mean, it's personal preference. If you want to spend a higher amount, organic food is going to come at a higher cost. And some people are willing to pay that. And again, it's personal preference. But as far as nutrition, there is very little difference. And if there's a concern about pesticides, you would have to eat so much of the non-organic type of food for it to even be a minor concern. And we're not consuming enough fruits and vegetables. So we would never say, oh, buy organic produce versus the conventional produce. You know, we just want you to get your produce in at the end of the day.
That's really helpful because I have the same question too. It's like, you know, I think it comes down to personal preference is what it seems.
Right.
You know, Deanna, Carly, anything additional to add to that?
The same thing. I feel like we all have the same background, really. I mean, we're registered dietitians, but it's so refreshing to, you know, this is our, you know, a couple times we've met and we really are all on the same page. I really feel that way. In regards to that, that's what we were taught in school. There's no long-term research that's showing that it's causing any negative harm to us. And I'm, you know, and there's always that conversation. Okay, well, if you're not eating organic, you're doing something else that's causing something else that could be an issue, if you know what I mean. So if it's not food, it's something else. It's on your skin, what products you're using. But honestly, there's, like Erin said, there's limited evidence on that. And as long as you're getting your fruits and vegetables, that's most important.
Anything additional, Carly?
No, they really hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's about getting that good nutrition in whichever form you prefer. You know, a lot of areas, especially where we're at, there's not a lot of fresh produce to begin with, and then to look for organic, it's even harder. So depending on your area of where you live, the affordability, both will do really great in your body. So just add those things in whichever way you like them.
Ladies, thank you so much. Again, a huge thanks to our panelists and everyone that has put this event together. Lisa Neff, Mark Natali, Christy, Franklin, everyone from the American Heart Association. Really appreciate bringing everyone together. And we had, you know, it's pretty timely considering it's Women's History Month. We had an all-female panel. So I have to give a shout out to everybody for that. Really appreciate it. Quick thing before we end things. One final thought from each of you, just a takeaway for people, and we'll start with Erin, just a quick little thing, and then we'll wrap up.
Sure. I would say above all, you don't have to overwhelm your current eating plan or your diet. Start small, maybe do one healthy swap per week and go from there, because the little changes eventually add up to big lifestyle habits.
Perfect. Deanna.
Love yourself a little bit more. Give yourself some self-affirmations. Be good to yourself. You know, there's so many things going on in this world. As long as we're good to ourselves and we make just one little small goal that we want to achieve, it'll get better from there. So maybe one small goal, be good to yourself, take a nice deep breath. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
Especially right now. And Carly.
Well, just to kind of highlight on what the other two have already said, which is right in line with what I would recommend. I mean, we're not perfect. So healthy eating doesn't have to be perfect. Every opportunity that you have to make a healthier choice, you know, just take that. But don't beat yourself up if you didn't do perfectly today. Every opportunity is there the next meal. I don't think that there is a perfect fit for everyone. And so just like Deanna said, be kind. Don't beat yourself up. Just keep adding little things at a time.
Excellent information, ladies. Thank you so much. And everyone participating today or watching this even later on as this is being recorded, thank you so much for joining us today. Our next Check It community conversation is scheduled for Tuesday, April 27th at 11 a.m. Move more and stress less. What could be better? We hope to see you there. Thank you all so much and have a great day.